I'd like to call this Apache Junction Water District meeting to order. Roll call, please.
Chairman Wilson,
Here.
Vice Chairman Schroeder, Board Member Cross,
Here.
Board Member Heck,
Here.
Board Member Johnson,
Here.
Board Member Nesser,
Present.
Board Member Soller.
Here.
You have a quorum, Your Honor.
Thank you. Do I have a motion for approval of the minutes of our April 18th and May 16th meetings? Oh, and the meeting of the May 2nd as well.
Mayor, Mr. Chair.
Yes.
I move that the minutes of the regular meeting of April 18th, 2023, and the May 16th, 2023, and the special meeting of May 2nd, 2023 be approved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Roll call.
Board Member Heck,
Yes.
Board Member Cross,
Yes.
Vice Chairman Schroeder,
Yes.
Board Member Nesser,
Yes.
Board Member Johnson,
Yes.
Board Member Soller,
Yes.
Chairman Wilson.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Okay, public hearing, presentation and discussion, public hearing, consideration of resolution number 2023-003. Mike.
Good evening, Chairman Wilson, members of the board. We've went through the budget a couple times, but we'll go through it one more time tonight for hopefully approval. As we start through it here, we have our previous years and budget actuals, roughly $5.6 million spent in 21-22. In 2023, we had a slight budget increase. We're estimated will be roughly at about $15 million at the end of this year. And what we're proposing and hopefully getting approval for tonight is our 2023-2024 budget. Total sources of income will be $11 million. As you can see, some of our income went down because of water resource acquisition fees. This is due to Radiance and Blossom Rock to the south. We'll slow down a little bit, but probably speed up in the next couple of years, but it was a big push to start with this year. So expenses will be roughly the $11 million. We'll be taking about $200,000, $300,000 out of our reserves to fund some of those. Some of the big projects that is part of this budget is to finish our bidirectional pipeline that we purchased the materials this year for, and we'll be finishing that off so that we can run raw CAP water to the sewer district, or eventually sending water back to the water treatment plant in the future, probably 5 to 10 years for direct potable reuse. We'll also be rolling out our utility billing software. Roughly, we're looking at a go-live date of August of this year. We have sent out one postcard. We'll be sending out another postcard to our customers here at the end of this month. And then we'll also be putting an insert in their bill beginning of August so they know where they found their account numbers, when their bills will be due, how much they'll cost. It'll be all an explanation as part of that once we get into it in August. We'll also have some meetings over in the MGC, so if somebody wants to sign up for their online portal, we'll be able to explain that to them as they come in and go through that process with them. But we'll be working through all that. We're also looking at a pilot study for advanced water treatment. This will be treating our effluent to drinking water standards, proving it so that the Arizona Department of Environmental Quality will let us go live eventually in the future if we need additional water resources. This is one that the city currently has, and it's an easy supply that's local that we could utilize if we choose to do so at that point in time. We are in the third year of our Salt River Project Verde River Sedimentation Mitigation Study. So this is to raise the Bartlett Dam. We had a vote this past week on some of how we're going to calculate the demands versus our water resources that we currently have. It passed unanimously through all the cities, so 21 of us got together, voted on us. It's passing. We're slowly moving along. It doesn't settle on our allocations yet. We're still working through that process, but it gives us some guidelines on what we need to do to present to everybody else on what our needs are for the supplies that are going to become available. Our Central Arizona project funding for 817 acre feet of non-Indian agriculture water. We're in the third year of 5 years of funding that for $325,000, and then we'll be finished with that here in the near future. Again, our district budget, we're trying to balance our revenues and expenses throughout. It's a very, I guess, balancing act between how much we charge for rates, keep them low, but also fund our expenses as SRP, Colorado River water, and other things become expensive too at the same time. So we're trying to balance those out as part of our budgeting process. Any questions on our budget so far?
Seeing none?
Okay. I think we move on to our public hearing now and then make a motion.
Okay. This is a public hearing. Do we have anyone that wants to comment concerning the budget? See no movement. Do we have a motion for resolution number 2023-003?
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
I move that resolution number 2023-003, a resolution of the Board of Directors of the Water Utilities Community Facilities District, City of Apache Junction, Arizona, adopting estimates of expenditures by the Water Utilities Community Facilities District, City of Apache Junction, Arizona, for fiscal year beginning July 1, 2023, and ending on June 30, 2024, declaring that such action shall establish the budget for the Water Utilities Community Facilities District, City of Apache Junction, Arizona, for fiscal year 2023 to 2024 be approved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Roll call, please.
Board Member Cross?
Yes.
Board Member Heck?
Yes.
Board Member Johnson?
Yes.
Vice Chairman Schroeder?
Yes.
Board Member Nesser?
Yes.
Board Member Soller?
Yes.
Chairman Wilson?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Okay, presentation, discussion, and public hearing, consideration, and resolution 2023-004. Mike?
I'll back up. So this resolution is readopting all of our existing rates and adopting some of the new rates that we proposed to the board here over the last couple of meetings. We'll talk about our system connection fees and our water resource acquisition fees, and then the effective date of these new rates. Going back to our base rate, we're looking at raising it roughly 5%, from $28.60 today to $30.03. As you can see, we're on average slightly probably higher than the average here, as you can see, but there are some other cities that are above that average also. So out of the 10 cities that we have here currently, we're roughly in the middle of all those, slightly higher, as you can see, the rest of them as we go across the board there. For the people that live in the city limits, base rate increase of 5%. Consumption rate, which is our per 1,000 gallons, would not change. And then our tiers that are 0 to 4,000, 4,000 to 10,000, and 10,000 above will not change also. If you live outside the city limits, and we have a couple county islands here, base rate would increase by 5%. Our consumption rate would increase by 5%, but no change to the tiers. How does this actually look to an existing customer? Customer that usually uses 7,500 gallons per month. Their bill currently would be roughly $70.01. With the proposed rate changes, their bill would move up to $71.59, an increase of $1.58, or roughly 2%. If you lived in a county island, your bill in the past was $80.53. We're proposing these rate changes that would make it $84.53, which is a $4 increase to your monthly bill, roughly 5% increase if you live in a county island. Comparing county to city, if you're a city resident, your water bill for the same amount of water will be $71.59. If you lived in the county, it would be $84.53. So slightly higher. Any questions on the rates and how we do that? Obviously, I'm only showing you the 5/8" meter rates for 7,500 gallons per month. As you increase in size from 5/8 to 1 inch to 1.5 inches to 2 inch, those also increase by those amounts also. Okay?
Yes.
Is that proportionately?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep. Any other questions?
No other questions.
Okay, residential system connection fees. So our system connection fees are to collect for infrastructure that we build out there, to oversized tanks, to build them as we get new customers that come on. This is not for existing customers, so it doesn't affect our current base rate. This is for new houses that come in. We're proposing 8.5% increase, going from $6,994 for single resident family to $7,590. In our subdivision to the south in Superstition Vistas, which is Reverence and Blossom Rock, we have a master agreement with them. They are paying for all the infrastructure down there, but as part of those system connection fees, there's fees for vehicles, fees for buildings. So what these are, they paid for the infrastructure for all the water lines and tanks and stuff, but they didn't pay for those. So their system connection fee is reduced by that amount. So that's why they pay this reduced system connection fee. And this is because our development agreement that we have with the developer. So proposing the same amount of increase, roughly 8.5%, going from $509 to $555 for a single-family resident, and same all the way through. Any questions on system connection fees?
Yes.
Mr. Chair. So Mike, I assume like the recreational vehicle would be if you had a vehicle that you wanted to be able to have a hookup?
So yeah, this is like your RVs or your, typically we wouldn't improve a new mobile home park or RV park here in the city.
Yeah.
But that's what those fees would be for.
Okay. If someone had a single-family property and they wanted to have their RV there with water hookup, would they have to pay for that twice then?
No, they would be using their
Oh,
existing source that they have there.
Okay. All right.
Any other questions?
Don't see any.
A residential water resource acquisition fee, we're not proposing any changes to this fee currently. It's roughly $3,486 per single-family resident. That's based on their use. We just approved this fee last year, so we're not proposing any additional fees on it at this point in time. Probably doing a study again here in the next 2 to 3 years, just because the price of water is not going down. As we're aware, when we purchased or leased our water from the Gila River Indian Community, it was $3,000 an acre foot. Today's prices is roughly $20,000 an acre foot. So over the last 10, 15 years, it almost quadrupled. It's going up quite a bit, especially since CAP has some shortages going on and different things that are happening. Any questions on that one? Okay. Chairman Wilson, I think we're ready for the public hearing announcement.
Okay. I was writing a quick little note here. This is a public hearing. Would anyone like to speak on this? Seeing no movements, do I have a motion for resolution number 2023-004?
Your Honor, or
Yes.
Chairman, I move that the resolution number 2023-004, a resolution of the Board of Directors of the Water Utilities Community Facilities District, City of Apache Junction, Arizona, readopting all existing and adopting new potable and non-potable rates, user fees, and charges for fiscal year 2023 through 2024, including new potable and non-potable water rates, service connection fees, water acquisition fees, and establishing an effective date be approved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Roll call, please.
Vice Chairman Schroeder,
Yes.
Board Member Nesser,
Yes.
Board Member Heck,
Yes?
Board Member Soller,
Yes.
Board Member Johnson,
Yes.
Board Member Cross,
Yes.
Chairman Wilson.
Yes,
Motion passes.
thank you. District Manager's report.
No report, Your Honor.
Okay. District Director's report.
So a couple of quick updates. We just finished up our ADWR report, which is the Arizona Department of Water Resources. Kind of give you an idea where we're at. We have this water portfolio that's made up of groundwater, surface water, recharge water that we put into the ground, effluent credits we've purchased, leases that we have. And we roughly have 7,831 acre feet of water available to us to serve existing development and new development. Currently in 2022, as you can see here, we use 3,400 acre feet, but only roughly 1,700 acre feet was to service our existing customers in this area. The 1,200 acre feet we took of CAP water and stored it in the ground for future use, so we can pump that back out. And then also the 472 acre feet of construction water, which is all the dirt work that happened with the land development to the south. We didn't provide potable water to them. We provided raw water to them from the CAP canal so that they could do their dust control that they needed to do down there. So kind of gives you an idea. If you look at the big picture here, we're only using 1,800 acre feet for our existing customers. So we roughly have about 6,000 acre feet left, and a lot of that's going to the new development to the south. Some are renewable resources, some are groundwater. There's a lot of mixture of what makes up our portfolio to handle that. We're always looking for additional supplies, just like we were talking about the Bartlett Dam earlier, so we're working through those processes to eventually gain as we grow here as a city. Any questions on those so far?
Chair,
Yes.
what's your guesstimation of how much water is going to be needed for both projects down south?
So roughly, when we started the project, we worked with state land probably 2 or 3 years, the city staff and with the water district, and that's why we came up with the 4 square miles to start with. We do have enough water to service that development all the way down there, with some reserved for our infill that we still have left here in the district service area. So probably by the time they're done with it, we'll be at about, I would say, 6,000 acre feet. So we'll have still some left over, but we'll be working through that process. That's why we're always going to look out for that next bucket. By the time that full development happens, we're probably looking at 10 years out. So hopefully by that time, we're getting another bucket as we work through the process, and we can stay ahead of our development here with our water resources.
Thank you.
You guys probably have some questions about Queen Creek and Buckeye. Earlier this month, there's a big article that came out about groundwater supplies, and they're no longer going to approve plats in those areas because they're not going to approve them just based on groundwater. As you can see here, our water portfolio, we're just not based on groundwater here in Apache Junction. This doesn't affect us, really doesn't affect them in the near term, because a lot of those cities, I think Queen Creek came out and talked about it, they already have 35,000 approved lots that already have a water resource to them. So it's not going to stop development in that area. It's going to keep going, but they have to go out and find that next renewable resource that can't be based on groundwater for their future demands after they fill up all those platted lots that they currently have approved.
Mayor?
Yes.
So Mike, was it just not planning for the development at the pace that it was, or how come that?
DWR just did another model of the Salt River Valley here to see how much water's underground. They came back and they're like, okay, in these areas, they're producing this many homes. We're predicting in the next 10 to 15 years we may have shortages of groundwater if everybody starts pumping their allotment, so that's why they cut it off now. Arizona does a great job of conserving their water supplies. We're probably one of the most advanced states across the lower 48 that we actually look at this stuff and we make sure that we're not using up all our water so that we run out. It's conserving it, making sure we happen, and thinking smart about our water supplies rather than just letting development keep going and then wonder where we're going to get that next bucket at later.
Yes.
There was a bill in the state legislation regarding 100-year, guaranteed 100-year water supplies for apartment complexes, because the current rule was that they don't have to assure the 100-year supply for high-density family housing. Do you know if that made it to the governor's desk, if it got squashed? What?
I did not hear the results on that, but as we talked, you are correct that they do not have to get a 100-year assured water supply because they're not platting as a subdivision. So only currently platted subdivisions have to get a 100-year assured water supply. So commercial developments, multifamily developments, if it's not platted, would not be required to get a 100-year assured water supply. I'm not sure if it made it through legislature or not, but we can look in that and get back to you on that.
Please.
Your Honor?
Yes.
Mike, I have just purely a curiosity question on the statement you just made about Arizona as being very conscious about how much water we've got and what to do and take care of everything, which made me think everybody assumes that Arizona doesn't have any water and we're running out of water because we're a desert. But based on that statement that you just made, can you tell me, is there other states in the lower 48 who don't conserve or watch their water the way Arizona does that probably would surprise the general public to find out they're in worse condition than maybe we are? Do you know of any examples?
I would have to do some research on that to see that comparables to us, but I would compare it to back the Midwest where they get rain, a lot more rain than we get out here. So they're not taking their effluent and recharging it into the ground. They're putting it in a river to let it flow downstream. We do things like that. We're starting to look here in the Southwest at advanced water treatment plants, right? Treating our effluent to treat it and send it back to our customers. They're not in a drought situation where they need to do that. Our water table's at 600 feet below ground level. Theirs is at 10. So we had to look at it years ago. This has not just started here in Arizona, but years have gone past of what do we do with our effluent, what do we do with our water supplies, and how do we manage those so that we don't run out of water here in Arizona. And that's really what ADWR's worked through with our compliance, that we have to file our reports. Some, like even outside active management areas here in Arizona, they don't have to report back on how much water usage they have. They're not limited to those supplies as you get further out in the rural areas that are not as big as Phoenix and stuff like that. So there's a lot of things that Phoenix does and the surrounding area here to manage our water supplies so that we don't run out. And it's a big thing. Obviously, the Indians lived here at some point in time. They all moved away for some reason. As we're getting drought conditions, if we don't firm up and conserve our water, it could be us moving away in 100 years from now too. But that's why we're trying to manage this so that we don't have those issues.
Okay, thank you.
Your Honor,
Yes.
can I just check with Robert real quick? Robert, you okay to check the legislation and get back to our board? Okay, thank you. Want to make sure we get that. Mike, he can help you with that. And then I was just thinking, when was the last time we had a Bartlett rep come in and maybe touch base with our council? It might be time, Mike. Let's take a look for a water board. I'd love to, in the next, quarter, next 6 months.
And we'll
time
bring
frame, yeah.
the project manager, Ron.
Ron would be great, yeah.
They'll come in and kind of give you an update where we're at currently. They do a great job. We just had a meeting today. We're meeting monthly with all the other cities and a committee group to come up with these water supplies. Hopefully by the end of the year, we'll figure out allocations of how much water each city's going to get. So we'll be working through that process, but it's still going to be fluent even as we get into, okay, we decide to hear what's changed and different things. A lot of it's going to be based on past demands through 2020 to 2022, and then we're going to figure out over the next 5 years how much more water demands do we need for each individual city out there, and then figure out how much is left in the bucket at that point in time through the whole dam raising.
How much was, I can't remember the number, if raising the dam up will give us how many acre feet?
I believe it was like 300,000 acre feet, but I have to take a look at that.
Okay.
It's only going to be available every third year is what they're predicting. This would be a great year. It would have filled up this year. Hopefully we have many more of those, but we'll see how it goes. But that's quite a bit of water. I mean, if you look at that, it's almost you use about a half acre foot per home, so another 150,000 homes. Or no, double that, sorry. 600,000 homes here in the valley throughout the whole Phoenix area. So we're looking at that and see what we can come up with.
And we're fighting against how many, or not fighting, we're working with.
We're working with and negotiating with 20 other cities, much larger than us, almost all of them, but we're working through that process and staying in that room and keep
Right there.
keep fighting with our, working with them.
That's right.
Working together. Even today's meeting was some of our stipulations on, it's about low-income housing or low-income areas that you can't charge them more water than it's worth. Water conservation is one of the requirements that we have, and we all do some kind of water conservation. We don't want to say your conservation plan is better than mine because you don't have golf courses or you don't have grass in your front yard, but we're all working together saying we're all conserving water here in Arizona, and how do we do that together and, come up with a plan of how we can separate this water out in the end.
Thank you.
Okay.
Any questions on that?
Any other questions?
And just to let you guys know, we should be serving our first customer in Radiance here starting next week.
Nice.
Oh,
So
Very nice.
most of our infrastructure, our transmission lines are done. Our water campus isn't done, but we have a temporary solution to get water sources down to them. So here in the next week or two, we will be serving customers down there. Developer informed us this past couple weeks, we're going to have 1,200 to 1,700 homes down there by this time next year, is what their plan is right now. So a lot of things happening still, and now the houses are starting to come out of the ground there. So if you get a chance, make your way down there. It's a
Changing.
nice community. It's ever changing as we go through the process. Okay. Thank you.
thank you. Okay, district treasurer's report. Okay. And since there's no additional information, I'll adjourn.